So today we're transitioning a little bit from motorcycles to cars, and we're going to be talking about why you want these, how to wire these up, and what they look like in the end. And of course, that is these. Light bars. So that's enough yibber yabbering about what we're going to do. Let's go inside and figure this all out, shall we? Follow me. So, what you're going to need to be able to install a light bar on your vehicle is obviously a light bar. You're then going to need a wiring harness and a vehicle to install it on. I would always recommend as well doing a little bit of research and having basic understanding of what it is you're doing. So, make sure your wiring harness is good. I bought this one on eBay. I think it was about £10. I'll link it down in the description. This is a second-hand light bar, but the one I installed on my vehicle I also bought on eBay, so I'll link that down in the description as well. And then of course the vehicle that I'm installing it on, I didn't buy on eBay. I can't link that down in the description, that's mine. So the last thing then is a basic understanding of what it is you're doing. First of all, you're mounting a light bar. It's nice and simple. Drill 2 holes, mount it on, screw it down. Easy. Secondly, wiring harness. You've got a few cables in there. I'll explain how those operate. It's very simple. You basically, all you've got is a switch, earth, and a live feed. There's a couple of those, and once you figure out where it is you need to connect them to, you're laughing. It's nice and easy. And then, last but not least, what is an LED light bar? You know, you might want to know what it is you're actually putting on your vehicle. So, an LED light bar is just a secondary source of light on your vehicle. So if you've got bad headlights, you're doing off-roading, stuff like that, you want an LED light bar. LED stands for light emitting diode. It's quite nice and simple. What's a diode? A diode is something that only allows current of electric to run through it in one direction. DC current, which is used in stuff like cars and motorcycles, only runs in one direction. So that's really nice and easy. A light emitting diode, guess what happens when it senses current running through it? Yeah?
Ooh, pick me.
It goes boom. No, it emits light. It's nice and simple, nice and easy. So, mount your light bar, do a mock wire up on your vehicle, test that everything's all good, and then, once you know that it's working correctly, terminate the ends correctly. Make sure the wiring is safe. So, one tool I would really recommend having when you're doing this is one of these. Now, for those of you that don't know what this is just simply called a test light. You've got a crocodile clip on this end and a spiky thing on this end. You connect this to an earth, or as some of you may know it as, a negative point in the circuit, and you connect this to a pos. Once those are connected, this handle lights up. It's got a light built into it to let you know that that is a completed circuit. So when you're trying to figure out which wire is your main beam wire, which is what you need to be spurring into on this, use something like a test light. Terminate this on an earth point, go into the back of your headlight, turn your main beams on, and poke each one of the wires with this, and waiting for it to light up. And then go back, turn your main beam back off, and poke each one again. Now, it's quite nice and simple. If your main beam's off, this shouldn't light up. When your main beam's on, this should light up. Once you've figured out which wire it is that only has a positive feed going through it when your main beam's on, that's the wire you spur into. So, to give you a real quick example of how this works, connect your crocodile clip to an earth point, or the neg, and connect this to a pos. And the handle lights up. Main beam on, main beam off. It's nice and simple. Get it all connected up, and you're laughing. Let's go chuck this on the car, shall we? So at this moment in time, I have all of the light bar wiring loom temporarily wired up. We've got the light bar hooked into the pos and the neg that goes up towards the relay. The relay is hooked into the pos and the neg of the battery instead of the pos and an earth point, because there was no clean earth point towards the battery. It would have taken a long time to clean those up. I've then ran the power cable across the top so that I can feed off the main beam on this light for my switch to go through the firewall and inside, because of course it's a right-hand drive truck. And then, fingers crossed, this should work, and we've got a mock wire up going. So the way I've got the wiring done at the moment is the main headlamp from here is currently out and over here. Everything is all wired up properly except one thing, which is this positive connection that needs to be spurred into that headlight. I've got the lamp out now so that I can see that this headlight's on, and what I'm doing is using a test light to connect further into the main beam cable from this headlight, and what I'll do is connect this onto the test light so that when the test light connects in, I get my power coming round and out and onto my switch. There we go, now my switch is live. I should click this and the main beam will come on, the light bar. Now that's on. And it's off. On. Off. Nice and easy. So the last thing left to do with this now is to properly wire it up. Now that I know that the wiring loom that I have got works, instead of having it mocked up, I will now properly connect it up, and then we should be finished. Okay, so we're at the point now where I've finally finished the wiring. I'll show you in a second how I have completed the wiring. It's not the cleanest where I've ran the wires, but they are all correctly terminated and correctly linked in, so we're not going to have any issues there. Just remember, in the UK, these light bars are an MOT fail. Okay, so they're not certified to be used on the road in this country. This is for off-roading purposes only. So if you were to try and MOT your road vehicle with a light bar like this on, you need to make sure you disconnect the light bar. Otherwise, it will fail its MOT. So, what I have got going on over here is we have the main relay still, just there, and that connects up to the neg of the battery, and then an inline fuse to the positive on the battery. We have a sheathed cable coming out of it, as you can see, and I've ran that round here, round the fuse board, down into there, and it comes out here. That then runs down here, across, and into the back, where it connects up to the light bar. We then have our main white cable. That one comes across the top of all of this, round, down, and connects into our wires down here. We've got the main block for the switch here. We've got a connection just here for the switched live, and then we have our on-off switch mounted just here. So it is now at the point where all the wiring is completed, and when driving this vehicle, if we flick the main beam on, the light bar will automatically come on. So then if you want it to stop coming on every single time that the main beam comes on, the switch that I have now mounted to the top of the servo section, you click that to turn it off, and then the light bar will not come on again until you click that back on and turn the main beams back on. So that's how you do that. Because the light bar is running directly off of this battery, you'll only be using it when the engine's running itself, so you won't drain the battery out when you're using this unless the engine's not running. When the engine's running, the alternator will recharge the battery, and this is an LED light bar, so you're safe. You don't have to worry about killing the battery out unless your engine's not running.